Okay, so I have just kind of summarized all my learnings, all my life lessons, what I think about life, what is sitting at the core and crux of life in this, and I hope it could be helpful and you could learn something from this. So I think there are around 15 or 16 main lessons. So let's go through them one by one. And while I do that, don't don't just understand what I'm saying, but try to understand what I'm saying because it's not easy to articulate all aspects of life into a bunch of PowerPoint slides. So there may be some missing elements. So try to connect the dots. All the 15, 16 lessons are interconnected. So you have to see how to link those and how to connect them together to again make an essence out of it. So go over this again and again because mostly no one will be able to understand what I'm trying to convey in the first go. So please have a listen. Okay, so lesson number one, always categorize the unknown. Now, I think many of you might already have heard about this concept, how to categorize the world into knowns and unknowns, because there would be not everything would be known. There would always be a certain component, certain essential aspect which you may be missing, which we term as unknown. So the objective of your life, as is being shown here, is to reach to this point where there is no unknown and almost everything is known, but that is almost impossible. So you start something around here, everything is unknown, and then you slowly start pursuing your enlightenment and all the discoveries of life. And ultimately, the goal is to reach here. But no one can reach there, but you can always keep on expanding the spectrum of known and minimize the unknown. So this is the basic thing. Now, whenever you are trying to learn something, you are trying to analyze something, always remember this four quadrants. So it is basically classified into known and unknowns. So there would always be something known, which you know what you know. So that it is almost irrelevant to talk about it because you know what you know. Then there would always be uh, an unknown. You don't know what you don't know. You're always going to miss out on that part because your understanding of the world is based on certain aspects like laws of physics, space-time, and all that, and even to lesser extent, you think what has been given in your school syllabus or textbook is what is known. Just like in newspaper, when a news story reports on some incident, you think, oh, this is what all there is to know about. But there is always going to be an unknown, which you don't know what you're missing out on. That is unknown. And there cannot be an unknown known. This doesn't make sense. So let us forget about this. But critical component is this known unknown. So there would always be some element which you know there is something there, but what it is, what that is, I don't know. So always keep in mind this aspect. Any new topic, any new subject that you study, known known would be there in the textbook, but what is the known unknown? Most of the textbooks, most of the schools, they do not tell you about what is known unknown. And unless kids know what is known unknown, unless they know, okay, these are the problems that still need to be solved. This is something that humanity still needs to explore. That curiosity, that interest doesn't get generated. So one is schools and all the educational institutes, they should always end a chapter, any lesson, all the textbooks with what is the known unknown. Usually they have a bibliography, like from where the information is gathered. That is okay for further exploration into known, but you should leave with open question as to this is what we still don't know. No one knows the answers for these questions. And so this is in respect to schools, but in life, and whenever you are trying to analyze something, you come across something, always find out, so what is the known unknown here, and what could be the unknown unknown. I mean, you will not be able to guess it, but keep in mind there is this aspect. So no matter how firm your belief is, always keep room of doubt, because there is going to be unknown, and that unknown would always end up surprising you. So this is the first and very important lesson. Do keep this in mind and always apply it to any topic that you want to study and investigate. Once known unknown becomes clearer, visible, you would be more interested in exploration. And we will talk more about exploration in lessons coming very soon. So the lesser the unknown, you are more confident about, oh, I know what is there to know, and the more justified your belief becomes. So this is the crux of this lesson. Now, lesson number 2, life is competition. Usually when we are kids, we are told anything that breathes is alive, anything that doesn't breathe, like rock or any other stuff like that, is not a live thing. It's not a living being. But to me, definition of life is anything that competes is alive, because to be and to remain alive, you have to compete. There is no running away from competition. Even companies which are not a living entity, they still have to compete. Even countries which are not in a sense a living entity, but still they have to compete. So competition, no one can escape from. You cannot avoid competition. So you have to be ready for competition. Then the collaboration also, mostly people do in order to compete with other collaborations and a stronger enemy. If enemy is strong, you collaborate. If enemy is also collaborating, you also collaborate with some other people, some other communities, some other countries to compete. So collaborative competition is the essence of life, because no one can compete on its own. Then without competition, there will not be, no one will be basically pushed to take any action, because life would be so easy. There is no threat, there is no scare, everything is going around fine, so no one will be forced to take any action. So competition makes action essential and inevitable. Now we will talk about action in the next lesson. Okay, lesson number 3, act, take action. So Bhagavad Gita mentioned about you should not worry about the fruit, but you should take an action. It made it a bit complicated, I feel, but the main point is, and the simpler point is, take action. So action is greater than non-action. If someone takes an action, he will be better incentivized by the universe, by the system, by the world, than someone who doesn't take any action. It's very straightforward. Everyone knows this fact. Then second principle is, first to act is greater than second to act. So there is something called as first mover's advantage. Why the first mover gets is at an advantage than to the second mover, because first to act gets more incentivized by the universe, by this world. Then good action is again greater than non-action, but at the same time, evil action is also greater than non-action. And you would be surprised to know evil action is greater than the delayed good action. So this kind of relates to dharma and adharma. I think Gita also says that in the end, dharma will be victorious, or something like that. But I don't think that is true, because universe incentivizes action. It doesn't care about your dharma or adharma. So whoever takes the first action, or whoever keeps on taking the proactive actions, they win. So if evil side takes first and keeps on taking proactive actions, evil side or adharma will win. So it doesn't matter what is your intent, as long as you keep on taking actions. So what is essential for dharma or righteous people is to be one step ahead of the game of taking actions than those with evil intentions. So this is where it all comes down to. Do not take your victory for granted if you are following dharma. This is not how the universe works. You have to be one step ahead in the action game vis-a-vis evil party. Then there is something called as aligned action. So universe wants you or humanity or mankind or this world to go in certain direction. So what is that direction? No one knows, but it does incentivize actions which are aligned to its goal. So even if your action is delayed, but it is aligned, it is greater than first action. So just because you are proactive in taking action, if it is a stupid action, in a sense it is not aligned with the goal of the universe, you are not going to win. So let us talk about what is an aligned action and how to align in the next lesson. Before that, let me elucidate further on belief, faith, knowledge, and agnosticism. Now, why this is important? Your belief is directly proportional to your tendency to act, and because universe incentivizes action, having beliefs and your beliefs are important. The stronger or firmer your beliefs, you are naturally more inclined to take actions. That means you will naturally get incentivized. So even if you have wrong or unethical beliefs, but those beliefs are strong and firm beliefs, you will keep taking action according to those beliefs, and you will get incentivized as long as the other party, the righteous party, is not ahead of the game. So now on knowledge. Knowledge is just justified belief. So just because you have belief doesn't mean you are right. You could be totally wrong, but you may have very strong, very firm belief in whatever thing that you believe in. That becomes knowledge. So if you believe firmly in something, you usually also speak more confidently, and that gets interpreted by people as knowledge. So anyone who speaks with firm beliefs appears to be knowledgeable. It does not indicate that he is right, he is a pandit, he is scholar, but it gives an impression to the people that he is knowledgeable. So just because someone is speaking confidently because he has firm, strong beliefs in some topic, do not consider that person to be knowledgeable. So, but as universe incentivizes the action, it naturally incentivizes having firm beliefs, because the firmer your beliefs, the more naturally inclined you are to take actions. So universe basically in turn incentivizes having firm beliefs. That is why having beliefs is important, because it makes you take more proactive actions, which is what universe incentivizes. Now faith. Sometimes people use the words beliefs and faith interchangeably, but there is a big difference in beliefs and faith. Belief is about your own understanding and principles, but faith means that you believe in someone else's actions with the hope that the outcome of those actions will be in your favor. So if I say I have faith in this fellow, that means whatever he is going to do in future with his actions, the outcome is going to be what I desire. That is why I have faith in him, not just in him, in God. So you feel that God will in turn be kind to you because you are praying him, because you have faith in him. So there is a difference in faith. So because there is no, you do not have any control in someone else's actions, having faith is immaterial and irrelevant. No point in having faith. Then uh, agnosticism. Agnosticism is basically uh, always keeping kind of a bit of a doubt in your mind, not it which makes you uh, which forces you not to keep very strong beliefs. So basically it goes back to the previous lesson where the agnostic person always keeps unknown in his mind and says maybe we do not have all the evidence, all the data to come to any conclusion, so he remains undecided. But that means he wants to or she wants to get more data, more information to push the known spectrum further ahead, which is a process of seeking and exploration. Now, universe also incentivizes seeking and exploration. Just like it incentivizes action, it also incentivizes process of seeking and exploration. So in a sense, it is aligned with agnostic people. But the thing is, because having the doubt in mind make an agnostic person not have strong beliefs, it hampers his or her ability to take actions. So you have to keep having the balance if you are an agnostic person. You should not have uh, too much doubt in your mind, which can lead to having not so firm beliefs. Okay, next lesson. Seeking and eternal quest. So I said universe also incentivizes seeking and exploration. And I think people are aware that Gautam Buddha, he said life is basically a suffering, and root cause of all the suffering is ignorance. This is what he said. So as long as you are ignorant, you are going to keep suffering. So the question is, how will you eliminate ignorance? How will you enlighten yourself? Because the problem with ignorance is you never realize what you are ignorant about. If you don't know something, you don't know what you don't know. You keep suffering. So your suffering doesn't end. So how to solve this problem? If you have a good mentor, teacher, guide who can tell you what you are missing out on, what is it that you need to know, and then teaches you, mentors you, then life would be easy. You can eliminate the ignorance, and also along with it, you can eliminate your suffering. But if you do not have such guide or mentor, you will just keep on suffering. So what is the solution? The solution is you always have to keep looking, keep searching for answers. You never know what will unravel in front of you if you keep searching, and in the hope that it will give you some hints, some clues, some knowledge which will help you remove your ignorance. So bit by bit, as you keep on seeking and exploring, your ignorance will go away. Not everything will go away in a go. That is why seeking and exploration is a lifelong process. Okay, next. We live in a matrix which is a multiverse. It's not a universe, it's a multiverse. So what is a matrix? Now, basically, if you look around and you see all the animals, nature, planets, and stars, and all that stuff, it's a physical universe with all the physical laws, space-time, and all that. That is a physical world. But there is a deeper, unexplored, unseeable universe in terms of metrics. So there is it is very difficult to articulate because no one can come up with a proof or picture like they give pictures of galaxies. But you need to know, and you have to go with this assumption that there is a matrix. Matrix is multidimensional. Every matrix is of every block in the matrix could be of different sizes, because the more you explore, more you seek, the space of the matrix block, it can expand. In the physical world, you may see people close together, but actually in the matrix, they could be far away depending on their presence and position in the matrix. So all the knowledge that humanity has created, it was brought out from the matrix. So knowledge resides in matrix. Without you going into the matrix, you cannot create any knowledge. And it looks like only human beings have access to the matrix. It looks like animals do not have or have not developed the capability to go into the matrix. And I feel the physical world around us, it exists so that we can create analogies, and we can use those analogies in the matrix, because in the matrix everything is dark, and still you need to explore. You have to keep on mining, like the miners go into the coal mine where everything is dark, but they have to keep on digging and keep on finding the better reserves of coal or gold or whatever it is. Just like that, when you are deep inside a mine, everything is dark. In order to communicate properly and exchange ideas, you need analogies which you bring from the ground physical world. So that is why physical world exists. I know it would be very difficult to uh, get an understanding of the matrix, and you may feel what I'm talking about, but you can only realize this with your experience, and if you keep on seeking knowledge. Okay, so I mentioned a bit about aligning your actions with the goal of the universe. Now, if people are mostly aware that our known physical universe is expanding. It started expanding from the time of a Big Bang, and it is still expanding. So The universe also wants you to expand the matrices. The matrix that I just showed you, the matrix where the knowledge resides, the universe wants you to expand those matrix blocks. So what universe is doing in the physical world, it wants you to do that in matrix, in the matrix multiverse. So how to expand? By exploring and discovering and seeking new things, and by incremental digging, just as in mining. Because matrix is made of, or the knowledge resides in matrix, that is how by incremental knowledge mining, you keep expanding the matrix. So the action aligned with expanding universe or expanding matrices is greater than first action. Then I think I touched upon this earlier. Dharma in conflict with an aligned action aligned with expanding universe is not dharma. So you may have your own concept of dharma, which you loosely associate with your role and responsibility, but unless it is aligned with what universe wants, it will get defeated. So align your dharma to what universe wants. Universe is expanding. Universe wants you to keep on expanding the matrix. So expand or perish. And the thing about expansion is, or any kind of expansion is, unless you are at the forefront, at the very end spectrum of the expansion, you cannot expand it further. Unless you are at the very end, at the very bottom of the coal mine or gold mine, you cannot dig further to make the or to expand the coal mine. Similarly, in matrix, to be able to expand, you will have to be at the forefront of the expanding spectrum. So when you are a kid, when you are going to school, your first objective is to reach up to the forefront of the matrix, whatever matrix it is sport, it is hobby, it is any subject, chemistry, math, whatever. So the forefront of the expanding spectrum is what humanity currently knows. The known of the humanity, or the known unknown questions that need to be explored, can quickly take you to the forefront of the expanding spectrum. Okay, next. So far I talked about action and life. Now let's talk about action, life, and choices. So I said animals do not live or do not have access to the matrix, whereas mankind has. So another thing that distinguishes mankind with animals is mankind has a weapon called choice. Animals mostly rely on their instincts, which is mostly a mechanical reaction. It is a reflex. They do not have the weapon of choice, but people do. And choices, they open the door to the matrix. You can expand the matrix by exploring or exercising a new choice, an unexplored choice. So when you opt for a new choice which was never chosen before by anyone in the mankind, it leads to the exploration and discovery, and that is incentivized by the universe. So always exercise an unchosen choice so far. So unearthing new choices put you at the forefront of the matrix spectrum, and you can also use these unexplored choices when you are competing. It can give you a strategic advantage vis-a-vis your competition. But having too many choices can also put you in a dilemma, and then dilemma hinders your ability or your proclivity to take action. So having many choices mostly is not a good thing. unless you exercise an unchosen choice to expand the matrix. Okay, next one. So customer is God. I think Gandhi said that a long time ago. So position of a customer and customer's demands is another way for the universe to give you directions and to align your actions. Larger is your customer base, more are your actions aligned, and more incentives you derive from the universe. So your goal should be to get larger and larger customer base, because once you start uh, addressing the demands of that customer base, your actions automatically get aligned with the universe. So when you are in school and studying, always try to aim to get larger customer base when you start working, and it's not about getting more marks, it's about getting larger customer base. How would you get larger customer base? So if not larger customer base, then only other option if you want to be successful is discovering more newer and newer matrices. So either of the two. Okay, next, the spirituality trap. Now spirituality is your quest into your inner self. It helps you expand your inner horizon, your self-awareness, self-realization, enlightenment, and all that. And it can lead to a matrix expansion in a sense, because that is also one block of matrix. But when you are, say, meditating and you are exploring your inner self, it can lead to inaction in the physical world. So you have to be very wary of this fact. So the first step for matrix expansion through spirituality is securing your physical world. Without making sure you are well secured in the physical world, you should not go deeper into the matrix of spirituality, especially. And there we have a very good example. India traditionally is known as a country with a lot of exploration in spirituality, with all the yogas and so many other spiritual philosophy. But because we went into that matrix exploration without securing the physical world, we ended up getting so many foreign invasions. So do not venture into matrix exploration or spirituality without first ensuring your security. Okay, next. Then civility should be your choice and not a habit. Whatever civilization that you see around you, do not take it for granted. It is a luxury. It is not a natural state of the universe. So we are fortunate to have this civilization around us, but it can go away anytime, and we can go back to the primordial days. So always, and when that happens, only those who can survive the barbaric way of life will survive. So do not create any fences in your mind of civility. Even if you create, always be ready to break those fences when the time comes. Because at the end of the day, you have to be more barbaric, more uh, demonous than your nearby barbaric tribe. So we succumbed to the barbaric invaders as in Indians because we had too much of civility. We had wartime rules. We ended war at the sunset. We started fighting only from the sunrise. So if anyone attacked in the night, we succumb to their atrocities. So anyway, such civil rules based on your civility, civilization, they are of no good. Uh, so you have to be aware of that. Okay, next. Survival of the species is greater than survival of an individual. An individual is dispensable. No one cares about an individual. It's all about survival of the species, any species, not just human species. You can sacrifice an individual, or usually that is how the species work. Species sacrifices uh, an individual being for the better survival chances of the species. So, and there is an analogy also, like cells in your body with the process of autophagy. They die and the new cells get created, which give you more vitality and make you uh, age slower, also in a sense. So similarly, you have to take that analogy for a species and an individual. So end of individual's life can benefit his community, his country, its species. So you have to take that thing into account. Uh, so your actions, again going back to the actions, your actions need to be aligned for the survival of whether it is your community, your country, or species, and not at this making sure that someone someone as an individual survives. If his survival, her survival is going to benefit the species, then of course it's better. But mostly individual is dispensable. So the universe or the species does not care about an individual. Then about tragedies. Now another way of the universe to tell us what is uh, what is it that it needs from you, or uh, the way it can tell us what it wants is through the tragedies. So because I said we are all blindfolded and directionless in the matrix, if you are in the deep coal mine, gold mine, there is hardly any light there and you don't know which way to dig, because you never know where the bigger store of the gold or coal is going to be. So there needs to be some corrective mechanism to tell you, if I do this, I get this result. So that corrective mechanism is in the form of tragedies. So universe demands actions from us and it has its own corrective mechanism. So tragedies, once the tragedy happens, naturally, to avoid that thing to happen again, an immediate action gets taken. So it eliminates all other choices which were there before the tragedy happened, which may have caused a dilemma or question in people's mind to take action. But tragedy gives a very straightforward, strict way signal uh, to the community, to the country, the species, that this is what needs to be addressed, and then the action gets taken. So in a sense, tragedies tell you what action universe wants from you. That is why people say you have to learn from tragedies. And individuals dying in tragedies is again immaterial, because in the long run, survival of the species it was important, and the death of few individuals, uh, it doesn't matter at all. It doesn't matter to the species. Everyone is dispensable, or most of the individuals are dispensable. Okay, then about words, actions, and motives. Now, words that we have mankind has created, they represent certain blocks in the matrix. So words take you kind of on a time travel when the words are spoken and they are conveyed to the other person, and other person understands them. It immediately takes him in a time travel in the matrix by the references of those blocks in the matrix. That is why the lyrics, the poetry give you some sort of high, because it takes you to very beautiful matrix blocks which you like, or basically you like the process of going through the matrix. So human beings need words because we are knowledge dwellers, and also that's why we are matrix dwellers, unlike animals. So knowledge in the form of words can take you to the forefront of the matrix spectrum. When I make a sentence and with the collation of words, it creates some meaning. It takes the person who's trying to comprehend that sentence to a specific block into the matrix, and that is one quick way of leading someone to the forefront of the matrix. So that is why when teacher is teaching and you start making sense of uh, that lecture, that topic, you get more enlightened, and that is how you progress to the matrix, and finally you can reach the forefront. But it comes with a drawback. It's very easy to take someone on a ride with the help of words. That is how most scams or most of the duping happens. People can say sweet words and take you on a ride. So words alone can be meaningless. There has to be an appropriate and respective action to support those words. Unless there is a supportive action to back up the words that are being said, you get duped. So always judge a person based on his her actions and not words, because words could be very sweet sounding. They can take you on a ride in the matrix. You will feel happy. You will easily get duped. But if you judge based on actions, action cannot lie. Action will mean you are actually there in that part of the matrix, not just on a time travel, which could be just a kind of a virtual trip, not the real trip. So actions indicate the position in the matrix. Always judge anyone's motive based on the action. Then, trial and error is the ultimate mentor. Now, evolution, if you know, happened over millions of years. Even humans evolved over last couple of million years. So that is based on trial and error. So there was no straight direction. There was a corrective mechanism, and how the corrective mechanism comes into play, you just uh, take one choice, see how it goes. If you get incentivized, your beliefs go firm, and you feel okay, this thing works, then you go ahead. You make another choice, it fails. You know, okay, this is not what we want. You eliminate that choice, you make another choice, and then you go on exploring in the matrix. That is how evolution has happened. It is mostly on trial and error. So it is about trying out all the choices and figuring out what is the best or appropriate one. And change is the only constant. So the world and surroundings, they change. So definition of the what is best changes. So the only way forward is by getting constant feedback through trial and error. So you never stop the process of trial and error to see whether you are in line with the surroundings, with the physical world, or your survival. Also, trial and error gives feedback, and it can thus confirming the beliefs, thus eliminating all the uncertainties, thus enabling firm action and in the right direction. So belief held without trial and error is a blind belief, and a blind belief may not lead in the right direction. If you find some teacher, some mentor, and you simply trust their words, kind of like a wordplay, because you have not done any trial and error to get a feedback to see if that is what is how it works, it may not lead you in the right direction and you may fail. So you may always want to do trial and error, and any exploration, any advancement with trial and error, to also exercise all the choices available. It may slow down the process, there could be some risks, but that is the time tested method. Evolution has already tested that trial and error kind of works, even if it takes millions of years. Okay, then data to philosophy. Now, when you have data, you have more data, then it becomes information. When you have well arranged data, it becomes information. When you have information analyzed, then it becomes a knowledge. This is one aspect. Then mostly the school reaches to this state: data, information, and knowledge, and that is what you try to achieve when you are in school or when you are studying something. But there is more to knowledge. From after knowledge, uh, there is a phase of understanding and an higher state of realization. Realization will not happen unless there is an action. And your aim, if you want to master any topic, any field, any subject, any hobby, it should reach the state of realization. So, not just what you read and study in the book, if it is accompanied with an action, you will be able to reach the state of realization faster. Then realization again can be taken to the further steps like wisdom and philosophy, which can happen if you keep on introspecting and keep on chewing on if you keep on connecting all the dots over the years, then it will become your realization will become your wisdom and then in turn philosophy. So the end goal of your studying is always philosophy. So whenever you are trying to master any subject, try to see which level of state you are at, whether you are at just knowledge and understanding state or realization, or you have even reached philosophy, which does not happen so easily. It needs to happen with action and a lot of introspection and connecting the dots. Then in terms of skill, uh, skill is kind of a different territory, but humanity, I don't know about the universe, but humanity incentivizes skill more than knowledge. So if you want to improve on skill, of course there is practice and experience, and then you become an expert. But you can take it again further with appropriate actions to the philosophy and the introspection. So whether it is sport or any educational topic, try to take it to the state of philosophy. So keep in mind that there will always be known unknown and unknown unknown aspect to the information. So even if you take it to the philosophy, you need to keep a level of doubt and be able to tweak your philosophy with additional data, additional information, additional knowledge, so that do not take your textbook as a gospel truth, or even if you take it to the philosophical level, do not take it as the final answer, because there is going to be known unknowns and unknown unknowns which will uncover sometime in the future, and then you will have to revise it. So this is, uh, in a sense, the summary of the important uh, points I feel about life. This is not a comprehensive list. I may, or I of course have many more to add to this list, but I think this is pretty much what I feel is at the crux, at the very core of life, and you need to know these aspects to do to achieve anything in life. So, thank you.